take a ride with me.
Good morning, Marianas. Hey, it's 7:39. It is Thursday, and we are just having a great old time getting all prepped up. I can't believe it. It might be the most exciting show we ever have and we've ever had. Who knows? It's going to be wild. We got so many people coming into the studio this morning. I don't know if we can handle it. We had to check with the CETA, Public Works, all kinds of engineers, just to find out if the structure can handle all the awesomeness that is making its way into the studio this morning. That's right. We've got so much star power. I just can't believe it. What a coup. How did we make it happen? I don't know. We get lucky once in a while. All right, everybody. Good morning. It is beautiful. You're looking at the traffic right now in Oleai on Beach Road. Everybody's moving and shaking. Even that guy with the excavator is cruising. Look at that. He's got 8 wheels of thunder going down the passing lane with hazards on. A truck just cuts him off. He could reach out and pull that truck back if he wants to. That guy is crushing. All right. Well, we've got a lot to get to, and we're going to get to traffic and all that good stuff here in a little bit. Oh, no, what happened? Is this serious? Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm like, what's going on? How did we not have the main camera? Did I bumped into something. It happens. It happens. Good morning, everybody. Hey, it is 8. It's not 8. It's 7:41 right now, actually. And it is a great day. Today is Thursday. It's 82 degrees outside, and humidity's at 74%. So it feels really nice out here today. You can't beat it. And if you like how it is right now, it's only going to get better. We're looking at mostly sunny skies with a high near 86 today. Wind gusts as high as 23 miles per hour. And it's coming from the east, so it's going to crush right over the ridgeline and be great. So when you're down there in the lagoon, you're not going to feel it so much. But once you get out there a little bit past the reef, you're definitely going to feel that breeze. No doubt about it. Going to be some isolated showers, so you might see little pockets of rain every once in a while, but that's a pretty easy day. We're going to get more easy stuff tonight. Man, have we not just had the most beautiful evenings the last couple nights? The skies have been so clear. The baseball's been awesome. You just can't beat it. I mean, this is way better weather than what all those folks are getting in the mainland. And speaking of which, we got some photos sent in to us from some viewers who are all over in the mainland. In fact, let's pull a couple of those things up. Oh, this is so great. I got some stuff that got sent to us. I'm really excited about it. But here, let me show you. We were talking with Landon yesterday, Landon Adlet from the National Weather Service, and he's a big contributor to the show by letting us know everything that's going on all over the place, and especially here with regards to our weather. But let's pull up. Actually, let me pull this one off the screen. This was a cool little idea I had yesterday. And I'm going to get rid of that feature now. Kapow. All right. This is a picture sent to us by Landon in North Carolina with the Guam flag. You got to love that, too, that they've got Guam's flag out there. I know he's a Guam guy. We should probably send him an NMI flag. But take a look at that right now. That's what it looks like in North Carolina. Not North Dakota. That is North Carolina. I do love that he brought the flag out there for Guam, and he's got that flying on there, but amazing. North Carolina with a blanket of snow out there. And that's where he was broadcasting from. You can, in fact, look at that tree. That's where he was standing in front of when he was talking with us on the show yesterday morning before the snow had hit. How about that? We got another photo that came in from a viewer. This is from Norman Del Rosario, former Saipan native. He's out there in Ohio these days. That's the Ohio River. Look at that. He's a big Cincinnati Bengals fan now also. But he just sent that in to us, and that is Marathon Petroleum Company. How about that? So that's a little tug going down the Ohio River. You can see the mist coming off of it. You can see the snow in the air. The trees are fully dusted, and just a beautiful day out there in the mainland. I want to say thanks to you guys from all over the place sending us your photos and what it looks like for you. It looks like an RV park out there in the background. You got to look out. That means they're a tornado target. But really, that is beautiful. I'd love it when you guys send us images. We are happy to send them. So great to see it. Thanks so much for doing that, showing us what it looks like where you are this morning. We'll get that stuff out there and show the world about who's listening. Hey, Freddie, good morning. Great to see you today. And Louisa, who day is right. The Bengals, man, they're a good team. I'll tell you what, back in 1988, I know, before many of you were just a little twinkle in your parents' eyes, my dad was out there cheering on the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game when they lost to the Bengals, when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl against the 49ers. And he talked about that chant so often because they played it so much. Who they think gonna beat the Bengals? In fact, he got a big jacket made up. Big old corduroy jacket, Bills jacket, winter jacket, all kinds of Bills logos on the back. And my dad's name's Jerry, but he put on Buffalo Bill as his name. And he had a pennant that said AFC East Champs. And every time the Bengals score, the fans ripped a little piece off of it. It wasn't an angry thing. It was kind of a funny thing. So when he came back to Buffalo with that pennant, it was there wasn't a lot left of that pennant. It was funny, though. It was a good memory. Good morning, Tobot. Good morning, John. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Great to see you. Tobot Castro. I was wondering if you made your own hot sauce, well, we call it Tabasco. I think that could be your new business. It could be a big hit. Piddling Gazebo, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's great. And thanks for that phone call yesterday. I'll tell you what, I get calls from you guys. I get messages from you guys, and it is great to get it. I get really updated on everything that's happening here, and I really get to hear what's going on in your world and how things that are happening here in the Marianas affect you, and I really appreciate it. So let's talk about who we got coming in here today. We've got a couple of rounds of guests. In fact, we're double booked. I was talking to Louisa about it last night when we were in the press box talking baseball. Hey, good morning, Ann. Thanks. Great to see you, too. And Vincent Raymond, great to see you. Oh, my God, are you in Florida? No way. Oh, wait, here's one of the folks coming in right now. But we were talking about how we've got all these guests coming in today, and it's going to be a big deal. Hey, good morning. We got the folks from the ESGR. That's the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. They're going to be coming in here at 8 o'clock. And then after they wrap up, because they've got a meeting to get to, then we've got Dan Shore from KSPN2. He's going to be in studio with us, and he's been a friend of ours for well over 20 years. And it was great to see when he went off to the mainland and came back. So it's going to be full. I mean, a lot of star power in here today. Cindy, thanks for tuning in. Great to see you all the way out there in Spokane. Hey, if you got send us a picture of the weather. You can WhatsApp us. You got all our contact. You can I don't know if you can put the picture in the comments, excuse me, but you can even send it to us on Messenger, and we'll pop that thing up there. But anyway, thanks so much. Got some other stuff that got sent in. This is great. Thank you guys for sending that. Hey, again, a big heads up that on Wednesday, February 5th, the House Speaker, Edmund Villagomez, is going to be the presenter at the Saipan Chamber of Commerce. So you don't want to miss that. I know you've got questions, and that's a great opportunity for you to ask some questions about what's happening. What are we going to do with the economy? What are some of the things that our returning House Speaker has in mind for the coming year and for the coming session? So it'll be really good. John says, I'm only here till 9. I have an interview for an easy $50 with Chelsea King. Hey, that's great. You know what? That is a great deal. Thanks so much. So when she reached out to us, I did ask her about what she thought. Here, I'll put this up on the screen while we're talking about it. I just messaged her yesterday. just to find out, because we were talking about what she was going to do for us as far as like, she's like, can we buy an ad on your show and all this stuff? It's only this much. Can you do it? And I'm like, yes, of course. We want to help you out. But could you help us out with some of the marketing info, like where you're getting your responses from? Because we want to be able to prove, what kind of an impact, what kind of a reach that we have with the show and the whole news service and everything. And she said yes. And I'll tell you what, ever since that we started blasting this stuff, putting on the commercials, and we had her on the show, but they've been overwhelmed with responses. So this is just great. It's just showing like what kind of a reach that we really have. So we're absolutely loving it. John, I'm so glad that you've got that interview with her. And so here's another chance for a plug. If you guys haven't done it yet, they really need about 50 people. And they're going to get some responses from some folks that might not be exactly in their wheelhouse. So you still have a chance to do it. This is Chelsea King. Her family's here from Saipan. And she is a graduate student at Harvard. She's a doctoral research assistant and for one of the professors there. And they're doing a study based on people out here and their access to different things. So they're looking for people who are Chamorro or Carolinian, residents of the NMI. It says on the flyer NMI resident, but it can be Guam as well. So NMI or Guam residents, 18 and up. And they're preferably looking for people who don't have a college degree. And so reach out to them. What they're doing with this research project, they're going to need to chat with you for about 90 minutes. It's an interview with you that they're going to do on a WhatsApp call or a messenger call or some kind of a call. And it will be no cost to you. But you'll end up getting, once you finish that interview, $50. It'll be the easiest $50 you ever get. And it'd be great if you tell them that you heard about it from us too, because it's good. Again, it's good marketing info for us that we can pass on to our advertisers just to show it that it's working, and then our potential advertisers. So check out that QR code that's on the screen. And you've also got that link right there. It's one of those bit.ly links where it's, normally a real long link, but bit.ly is one of these websites that condenses that website address. So it's bit.ly/NMI Guam Study. There you go. You click on that, and it'll get you there. And if you can, tell them that you heard about it from us. That'd be pretty cool. All right, so that's great. Congratulations. I'm glad that you're doing it. I know there's a few people who are watching who messaged me on the side saying that they've already got their interview scheduled and everything, and it's great. All right. Hey, oh, no way. Is this Ann? Hold on one second. Ann, thanks so much. I'm going to put this up here on the screen. Ann just sent us this picture. It says, Leah says, good morning, Marianas. Good meowing, Marianas. This is why you send me all those cat gifs. Are they GIFs or GIFs? I think they're GIFs. I can go either way on that. But that's it. Thanks so much for sending us a picture of your star-spangled cat this morning in a ballerina outfit. I don't have a pet contest, but I think we had the joke contest. We should really consider opening up with a pet contest. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Dress up your pet. Let's think about that. You guys, let's talk about some of the mechanics. Tell me what you think about it, and we can work on some of that. All right. So, again, we got these guys coming in about 9 minutes. Then we're going to give you the update from the Associated Press at the top of the hour and get you guys rocking and rolling for the day so you know what's going on. Before we go too far into it, let's take a quick look at traffic and let you know what's waiting for you on the roads. First of all, if you're not at work already, well, you might have a little bit of a hard time when you're trying to get around on the roads, because this is the time when a lot of folks are trying to hustle and bustle on those roads. Just remember, if you drive real crazy, you're probably going to meet up with that person at the next light. So there we go. You're looking live right now. This is the traffic picture that's over there at the old AK intersection. You can see it's all blocked up outside behind us. In fact, we'll even throw that on the screen behind us too. It doesn't look so bad on the screen right there. As far as that live shot of the Beach Road, but right now you can see it is going to be a slow go once you get out in front of our our dealership. Once you get in front of our building and when you get closer to the old dealership intersection, and also Monsignor Guerrero is going to be slow all the way up to IT&E, the intersection that matters where connections matter. I'll tell you what, it is going to be slow in every direction. So except for the brilliant person who put those cones on the northbound lane, on the turn lane, as you're coming from Chalmont-Senior Guerrero going on to Middle Road. That one is it's the best. Somebody's got to win an award for putting that on there. That's got to be a Nobel Award for excellence to make sure that traffic continues to flow so people don't get stuck over there. All right, let's head north and go take a look real quick up by, oh, geez, I was going to go to the tennis courts, but I can't even get there yet because it is slow right away. Once you get in front of the gas stations at Shell Middle Road, it is slow all the way to Gualarai at that intersection by the courthouse, and then it starts to lighten up a little bit. It's slow again by the intersection by Sodalore Laundry, the laundromat that's been closed since Sodalore destroyed it over there at the intersection of Middle Road and Route 308. Again, now let's get to that tennis courts in Navy Hill. Actually, not too bad. Pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit slow if you're trying to head north, but it could be much worse. There's no traffic buildup coming down Navy Hill or coming up from Garapan. How about the base of Capitol Hill? Not too bad either. Everything looks pretty good. It's not even backed up. The people who are backed up the furthest are all the way over there at Ina's Kitchen. And is that even a bad thing? It gives you a great idea what you want to do for lunch. Go say hi to Sonny and Rita down there and get yourself something good to eat. It is one of my favorite places to go because you smell like the food that you're going to eat for a while. It's like a nice little memory that you take with you. All right, let's go over there, Chalmont, where you know it's never fun to go driving with all of the construction, and actually it doesn't look that bad. And the traffic's pushed back past the Bow Tire Shop, but not too far. But where it starts to become a problem is when you go north from there. Both lanes, unhappy, no matter what, all the way up past the post office. Even Tune Joaquin Doi, that is a disaster of slow traffic over there. So it's going to take you some time. If you're worried about trying to get somewhere on time, well, it's too late now. You're already in it. So take your time, drive safe, and all will be good. All right, well, let's do this. While we wait for these guys to come in, and they are starting to trickle in a little bit, we can get you a little bit more about what's happening today. I've got an update from the Associated Press, and I also have this day in history, and it might be a good idea to do both. So let's get you the Associated Press update, guys. So here you go.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempen. A female student has been killed and another student wounded in a shooting this afternoon in a Nashville high school cafeteria. Don Aaron is a spokesman for Metro Nashville Police.
From the investigation to this point, we know that at 11:09 a.m., a person who has been identified as a 17-year-old, armed with a pistol, fired multiple shots in the cafeteria of the school.
The 17-year-old shooter was also a student at Antioch High School. Aaron says the student who was wounded in the shooting suffered a graze. The Trump administration has cut off approved refugee resettlement in the U.S.
The Trump administration has canceled travel plans for thousands of refugees who had already been approved to resettle in the U.S. President Trump suspended the nation's refugee resettlement program this week, but there was a chance the roughly 10,000 refugees from around the world who'd already gone through lengthy vetting and scheduled travel could get in before next week's deadline. But the arrivals have now been cut off, leaving many who fled war and persecution stranded around the globe. That includes more than 1,600 Afghans who helped America's war effort.
To abandon them really does go against what we say we stand for. If you have our back, we'll have your back.
Minnesota Democrat Ilhan Omar, who fled Somalia under the program, says she hopes the president reconsiders. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the president's simply making good on a pledge to crack down on immigration.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Evacuations have been ordered for remote communities near a new wind-driven wildfire in mountains north of Los Angeles. The Hughes fire broke out this morning. This is AP News. Rupert Murdoch's UK tabloids have issued an apology to Prince Harry.
Prince Harry is claiming a monumental victory today in his lawsuits against Rupert Murdoch's British tabloids. The publisher of the Sun newspaper offered a full and unequivocal apology to Harry for intruding on his life over a 15-year period from the time he was age 12. News Group acknowledged it hacked his phone, tracked his whereabouts, and misused his personal information. It also included an apology for intruding on the life of his mother, the late Princess Diana. It was the second of 3 cases Harry has brought in his battles with the British press. He's a long-standing feud with the media, who he blames for the death of his mother, Diana, who died in a car crash while being pursued by a pack of paparazzi. Harry won a similar case against the publisher of the Daily Mirror in 2023. He has another case pending against the publisher of the Daily Mail that's due to go to trial next year.
I'm Mike Hempen, AP News.
January 23, 1973. President Richard Nixon announces an accord has been reached to end America's military role in the Vietnam War.
We today have concluded an agreement to end the war and bring peace with honor in Vietnam and in Southeast Asia.
More than 2 years later, South Vietnam falls to North Vietnam, and the country is reunified under communist rule. 1968. North Korea seizes the USS Pueblo, charging the crew of the Navy intelligence ship with being on a spy mission in its waters. Pyongyang releases the crew 11 months later. 1977. The TV miniseries Roots, based on Alex Haley's novel, begins airing on ABC. The saga about an African slave and his descendants in America becomes a ratings and cultural sensation. 2004.
Here comes Captain Kangaroo.
Bob Keeshan, who entertained children for decades as TV's Captain Kangaroo, dies in Vermont at age 76. And 2005. Johnny Carson, host of The Tonight Show from the 60s into the early 90s, dies in Malibu, California at age 79. Today in history, January 23rd. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
Hey, I'm Coach Derek Cutting, the owner and founder of Laddie Built Fitness. So no matter who you talk to here at Laddie Built, everyone feels that they are part of a family, part of a group of like-minded people. No one feels judged. No one feels like they're being teased or picked on or looked down upon because maybe they don't know what they're doing. They could be brand new and have no idea what they're doing. They might be overweight or really skinny and feel very self-conscious about themselves. But at Laddie Built, nobody judges here. And if you ask anybody here that might be in better shape than you or even not, but has experience in the gym, they will gladly help you through a workout and teach you a few techniques that can help you. So Laddie Built organically from day one, since the boot camp era, has organically grown this fostered environment of community and being a safe place, but a strong work ethic community of people that want to get work done. All I can say is that I put my heart and soul into it from day one. I treated everyone like that at the boot camp from the very, very beginnings, and everyone at the same time would treat each other like that from the boot camp era as well. And as we grew, as we got into a brick and mortar facility, we got bigger and bigger. I feel like people definitely just take this place as a home, as like their brother and sisters are working out next to them, not their enemy or not their competitor, So organically, it's just the vibe here is different. Everyone feels very, very comfortable, and I love the fact that it happened like that. Hey, I'm Coach Derek Cutting, the owner and founder of Laddie Built Fitness. So no matter who you talk to here at Laddiebuilt, everyone feels that they are part of a family, part of a group of like-minded people. No one feels judged. No one feels like they're being teased or picked on or looked down upon because maybe they don't know what they're doing. They could be brand new and have no idea what they're doing. They might be overweight or really skinny and feel very self-conscious of themselves. But at Laddiebuilt, nobody judges here. And if you ask anybody here that might be in better shape than you or even not, but has experience in the gym, they will gladly help you through a workout and teach you a few techniques that could help you. So Laddiebuilt organically from day one, since the boot camp era, has organically grown this fostered environment of community and being a safe place, but a strong work ethic community of people that want to get work done. All I can say is that I put my heart and soul into it from day one. I treated everyone like that at the boot camp from the very, very beginnings, and everyone at the same time would treat each other like that from the boot camp era as well. And as we grew, as we got into a brick and mortar facility, we got bigger and bigger. I feel like people definitely just take this place as a home, as like their brother and sisters are working out next to them, not their enemy or not their competitor, So organically, it's just the vibe here is different. Everyone feels very, very comfortable, and I love the fact that it happened like that.
All right, welcome back, Marianas. It is 8:04. You're all caught up with everything, and if you didn't have your full share of Laddiebuilt commercials, now you are. Back to back, of course, the big ones. But I'll tell you why, because it's exciting. I've got these folks in studio right now, and this is something I've been looking forward to. We were talking about it this morning. Folks that we know do really great work, and it's not just here in the Marianas. They do this really throughout the nation, but the organization does. But the folks here have the real focus here. And it's about supporting the folks who support the country, support your way of life, and making sure that our citizen soldiers have the opportunity and their rights guaranteed under the Constitution for when they do get deployed or when they do get, assigned for or activated for their annual training or for their monthly duties that they've got. But you don't want to hear me talk about that. You hear me talking all the time. I want to welcome some of our friends to the studio, and we're going to introduce them all to you here in just a second. Once I make sure I know which camera that we're going to use. Okay, here we go. I got to back myself out of it. We have in studio, well, of course, we know Dave Sablon very well, but I think we need to introduce all of you guys. And who would like to introduce everybody?
Why don't we introduce ourselves, right? How about that? So
Sure.
I'll go ahead and start. Half a day, my name is Kathy Gogui. I am the state chair for the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve.
Yes, good morning. Hi, my name is Benny Paulino. I am the vice chair for the Guam Sinamai ESGR committee. My background is military. I've been with the ESGR now almost 20 years. I'm retired active duty Army. Also, I ran the Guam National Guard. Altogether 36 years.
Oh.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure a lot of the people on Saipan and your audience, Brad, know me. I'm David Sablon. My father is Uncle Dave here in Saipan, and I'm the Ombudsman Director. What that means is that if there are any issues between service member employees of yours, if any of you are employers out there listening, if you have service member employees working for you and you have issues and you don't know how to deal with it, should they go on, let's say, military deployment or annual training, as Brad said earlier, or the weekend drills once a month, then you can certainly call our office, and I will be able to answer your questions, because that's what we do as ombudsmen. And then we also educate the general public, generally the employers. And in fact, we're here in Saipan because we're going to have a lunch with the boss tomorrow. We explain a lot of things that we do as ESGR. And then we also advise the service members of their rights and entitlements under the law. And that's really the heart of what we do in the Ombudsman Services Directorate. And that is to educate people on the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act.
Well, that's important stuff. Well, by the way, one of our viewers let us know, too. Congratulations to a very own son of the Marianas, Kindu Boy Areola, who just graduated from the Air Force boot camp.
Wow.
So you guys inspire all kinds of folks.
Lackland Air Force Base then.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. So now I got to experience a little bit of what you were doing over the past, oh my gosh, I don't know the first time that I saw you guys come out here for ESGR, but it was, I think maybe back when I was with IT&E, so like a real long time ago. And I got to see like the folks who get nominated by the employers who get nominated by their employees who are citizen soldiers or airmen or Marines and all that. And you know what a great feeling it is for the employers to be recognized for, even though it's kind of doing what they're supposed to be doing anyway, right?
We go out and try to encourage our service members to nominate their employers, because when they're away, people have to cover for them. You know, you have other employees who have to cover for the work that our service members leave them to do. So we always encourage the service members and the reserve components to nominate their employers so that they feel appreciated as well. And like you say, they're supposed to be doing, I mean, they're entitled to all that stuff because of you, Sarah. But we just want to have our service members show some love back to their employers, because people do have to pick up the slack, or them being away. I'm not sure if anybody else wanted to add anything.
Well, you know, tomorrow we're actually going to give some of those awards to the employers.
That's great.
My Boss is a Patriot is the basic award that a service member employee would nominate their boss, and you know, we sent it into the Department of Defense in Washington D.C. The name that is, and then they prepare this beautiful My Boss is a Patriot certificate. Comes out framed. And we're going to hand those out tomorrow at our lunch with the boss. I believe it's at the Crown Plaza?
Crown Plaza.
Yeah,
It's
Crown
at
Plaza. So we're going to have that at about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I remember that. I was only active duty. I didn't do the Guard or the Reserve, but you know, I didn't really notice so much of a difference initially. Well, let me change that. When I was in, I thought I was all hua and everything like that, right? Because I was active duty and all that. And these Guards and Reserves, they were just the weekend warrior guys. But a lot changed after September 11th when people really got activated. And these guys who we used to call the weekend warriors were not weekend warriors anymore. No. They were out there. They were serving just as long, back-to-back deployments, not being able to ETS, you know, having their service life extended. ETS means getting out of the military, basically. And experiencing the same kind of hardships. And I can't imagine how challenging that must have, well, it must have been very challenging for them, because even though that's what they signed up for, that's probably not what they were expecting. But for the employers to go through something like that must have been quite the hardship to hang on to a position for somebody who could be gone like a couple of years.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to remember, prior to 911, you know, like you said, the Guard and Reserve, primarily a strategic organization. Yeah, they're only needed and called up in case, yeah, we have a big conflict like a world war, you know. So basically, the Guard and Reserve that was their role, their strategic role. But ever since the country implemented the all volunteer force, that we rely on volunteers now instead of the draft, our actual active duty strength has dwindled down to almost half, you know, prior to the ending of the draft. And so now when 911 hit and there was a need for these operational forces, you didn't have the active duty strength that you had before the all volunteers force. So now the armed forces needed the augmentation from the Guard and Reserve to augment the active duty, because you can't prosecute a war, you know, with just the existing numbers that we had. So we ESGR's role has now become more important. You know, brief the Guard and Reserve about their rights, and also employers that there's that federal law that they have to comply with. And, you know, prior to all these activations, employers, you know, it didn't impact their Guard and Reserve employees, because mostly their Guard and Reserve employees just went to drill, annual training, and, you know, that was pretty accepted. Now they're gone for 6 months at a time, 1 year at a time, and then sometimes continual deployments. So, yeah, our job here is not only educating employers and Guard and Reserve, but also, you know, promoting that harmony between the Guard and Reserve and their employers. And that's one of the reasons why we had this employer recognition programs.
Well, it's got to be great. And I know, you know, I know what young enlisted guys go through, and I know the level of responsibility that a lot of those guys have. Now, the older guys, maybe it's a little different when they first get it. Then, like guys like me, I was in basic and AIT. I was done with both of those at 17. I didn't turn 18 until I hit my first duty station. But I imagine there are some challenges with notifying the employer in a timely manner. That, hey, oh, geez, I got drilled this week, and I'm sorry I can't make it. By the way, today's Thursday, and I leave tomorrow. And so those guys, I'm sure there's there's some responsibility that the soldier's supposed to take, but I'm sure that in those kind of efforts, when the employer doesn't give the reservists or guardsmen a hard time, those are the guys who should really be nominated.
Yeah.
You talk about employers, that one of the things that we bring out in our presentations, we encourage employers, call the unit that your employee, Guard Reserve employee works for. That commander, that first sergeant, you can always call, ask questions, find out when the training is. It's just to verify whatever your employees say. But yeah, we do promote that harmony. We encourage, a lot of employers didn't know that. Oh, I can call them. Sure, you can. You can call our office, and we'll give you the name and number of that unit commander or unit sergeant, and they can talk, communicate.
I wonder how many first sergeants have smoked these young guys for saying, "What do you mean we have a drill this weekend? How are you telling these guys?"
When I was running the National Guard, I got this call one day from an employer. Says, General, I really support the Guard, but gosh darn it, can you give me some more advance notice of what you're talking about? I said, my employee just said that it was around 4 o'clock. Says, I'm sorry, I got duty tomorrow. I gotta go. And so I told the employer, I said, let me check. I have a listing of who's on duty and who's not. I don't recall seeing that name. And sure enough, that individual used an excuse to get away, get some time off. Yeah, so yes, we encourage employers. Find out the unit, the organization that your Guard Reserve employee works, and, establish their communications. You can always
what we advise the employers when we do these presentations on the USERRA, which is the law, and what their responsibilities are, is we basically say, why don't you, take a survey of your employees and find out who is in the Guard and Reserve? Because prior to 9/11, it was just basically weekend drills, and most employers don't have, people coming in on Saturdays and Sundays. So they don't really know that some of these employees of theirs are probably members of the Guard and Reserve doing weekend drills only once a month, and then 2 weeks annual training, which is required. But maybe the employer's just thinking, oh, he's on, his annual leave vacation, but no, he's actually doing some military work. And so they don't know that. And so now, post 9/11, as the general had said, the individuals are actually the Guard and Reserve members are now actually doing a lot more training as if they were actually active duty, except they go home after work, and so the employers are now starting to feel that this is actually how you have to deal with employees of ours who are actually members of the Guard and Reserve, and they get lost and not knowing how to deal with it. And sometimes they fire the individual and say, well, if you're going to be a member of the Guard and Reserve, then I'm sorry, you don't have a job here. And that would be a violation of the law, which they don't know. And so just to give you some history, in 2007, when we started giving very actively presentations to employers and explaining all of these things to them, we had to handle like 50 cases a year. These are mediation cases. These are serious cases where people are being fired because they were members of the Guard and Reserve, and we had to come in as the ESGR Ombudsman Services to try to reconcile the difference between the service member employee and the employer or the boss. And over the years, through our education campaign with the employers, explaining to them about this law and their responsibilities as employers and what the rights and entitlements are for their service member employees, they start to understand. So now we're getting more questions rather than cases, which is much better for us, And now we're down to like maybe 12 cases a year, whereas it used to be 50 plus per year. And so that's since 2007. So you can imagine how many years we've had to educate our people and our employers just what the USERRA law requires them to do. And the more that they understand it, then the more they can appreciate, the military service of their employees. And that's, the harmony that we are trying to generate, because we're citizens ourselves. Some of us are not in the or haven't been in the military, hasn't done any service in the military, but we understand, because most of us are employers as well. So we understand it, and we want, the other employers who do have service members working for them to understand the same situation as well, that when these guys get called up for military duty, they have to go. The law requires them to let them go. But, there are certain things that service member has to do in order to qualify for protection under USERRA. And you mentioned earlier about, or the general was mentioned earlier about, an employee saying, I've got to go on military duty. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the requirements is that you have to have orders, and the military will not issue a verbal order. It's always written. So you can always ask, well, can I see the orders? And if there's nothing in writing, then that person is probably not going on military duty.
No. You can come in. Come on in. Just grab a seat over there. This is Dan Shore, by the way. He's going to be on with us in a little bit. Thanks. Thanks for
Yeah, I've seen you on TV, Dan. You're a news reporter.
Yeah.
Our lighting is good. His lighting, not so much.
I wanted to just piggyback on what Dave said. I'm an employer myself, and I have service members one was in the Army and the other was in the Navy. And because ESGR does such a great job going out into the community, educating service members and employers, so the service members know that we do the same sort of presentation, but geared toward employers. And so they know that we've educated these folks. And for my team, my service members, they gave me their drill schedule. In advance at the start of January. We had their drill schedule for the entire year. So that helped. And so I really believe that it was because of the harmony that ESGR has created and fostered that we have service members who know that the employers know what to expect, and every now and then you're going to have that one service member who has to get on the plane the next day, and they're protected, but I don't think it happens as often as it used to before ESGR went out into the community in Guam and the CNMI. I really believe that, we've done a great job getting out there.
On the other side, the Guard Reserve commanders, they need to discipline their troops too. They
Correct.
need to emphasize their troops. You have an obligation to notify your employer. You have an obligation to give them as much advance notice as you can. You have an obligation to create this harmony. And if you misbehave, I'm going to take action on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I did that when I was at the TAG. Mainly because of my background at the ESGR. I understand the employer situation, and so. To get along, to create this harmony, employers understand there's a mission there. The armed forces is there to protect the country, and so we have to do what we have to do. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be a one-way street. You could do this in great harmony, and when everybody is satisfied and content, everybody's happy, employers will go out of their way to help, not just because the law says I have to let you go. If I had my own choice, I would say, decide. You go on military or you want to work for me. So, I think we've come a long way, this committee, in educating both sides. And I'm very proud. I've been with this committee since 2004.
Wow.
Dave shortly thereafter. And I tell you, I enjoy what I'm doing. I love dealing with the troops. I love helping them. It brings me great satisfaction.
I've had a pretty lucky experience out here. So, I've been out of the service since '95, right? And then when I worked for DOD for public affairs, it was nice to get back in and have a real, a real connection with the folks, the military folks, and see what's changed and what hasn't. And then with the VFW, we just went to Tinian for the Marine Corps birthday to help them celebrate, and to really just break bread with them and hang out. Yeah. That connection is just great, right? Yeah. So what I'm curious about, I know that you do so much with the employers, but especially with the units here, are you ever able to give a briefing to the troops here and explain this stuff to them?
That's happening this afternoon. We have our military outreach director coming out,
right?
And we're another ombudsman. So we have the Army Guard and the Army Reserve that we're going to be doing these presentations to them.
Yeah, the Army Reserve comes under the command of a brigadier general stationed out of Hawaii. And we go out our way to make contact with that general to let her know right now that we're here. We're here to support her troops in any way we can as far as our mission is concerned. And every time that general would come by Guam or Sinamai, we always ask, give us time on your calendar. We want to give you an update of what we do. And, we're on first name basis. They embrace our assistance, our support. So, yeah. And we do this with all the other reserve components. We have Coast Guard Reserve in Guam. We have the Naval Reserve outfit. And, of course, the Air Force Reserve. All their commanders are down in Hawaii.
Right.
So, yeah, we get the top leaders involved, get their support as well. Make sure let them know the troops behaving or not.
Yeah, and if I may, Brad, I just want to explain what the law requires the employers to do.
Yes.
Very simply, so that your radio audience could understand if any of them have service member employees working for them. Number one, they must have a job. The service member employee must have a job. Of course, that's a given. So that's number one. Number two, they must give advance notice if they're going to go on military duty. So when they get their orders, and as General Polino said earlier, orders are given way in advance, not just for the next day. I mean, Kathy explained that the military drills for the whole year is already published, so you already know when that individual is going to go on weekend drills. So it must be you must give advance notice to your employer. This is the service member employee telling the employer, I've got to go on military duty. And it could be verbal, doesn't have to be written, as long as you tell someone of responsibility in the employee or the employer management, whether it's a supervisor or your immediate boss. And you must have orders. Okay, so you have to have orders, and the military will not issue orders verbally. Everything is written, so it's on record. And so if any employer wants to know, when are you going and what are you going to be doing, just say, can I see your orders? And as General Polina said earlier, if you don't see it, call up the unit commander or that first sergeant. I can tell you from my experience, and I've never been in the military, but I've interacted a lot with the military folks. The service member, and you know it because you were a member of the Army, you're afraid of that first sergeant because if you do not do what you need to do, that first sergeant will come at you. And he won't worry about the law.
Well, maybe not so much now. You can just flash a "I'm stressed out" card. That's my joke.
But the final three things that a service member must do and an employer must understand. So you got you got a job. You got to give advance notice before you go on military duty, and you must have written orders. Okay, those are the first three things that you must present to your employer, and the employer must know that this is what's going to make this individual go on military duty. And the umbrella of the USERRA law, the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, will start to cover that service member and protect them. And so when they come back, though, from military duty, no matter how long it may be, weekend drills or 6 months or 1 year deployments, when they come back, they must not exceed 5 years cumulative on non-exempt type of military duty. What is non-exempt? Non-exempt would be they were in a war zone. Okay, so if they go to North Africa, if they go to Afghanistan or Iraq earlier, then the clock doesn't start on that 5 year limit.
Oh, that's great.
But if they were, going to Korea to do inventory in a warehouse of how many tanks and guns we've got, then that clock will start at 5 years. And when they come back, then you subtract that from the 5 year cumulative. And then, of course, they have to be discharged honorably or generally.
When you say accumulative, you're talking about like over the course of their employment or just per each deployment?
Over the course of their employment with that particular employer.
Wow, no kidding.
So if they switch, the 5 year clock starts again. So if they went to another employer, then they have another 5 years of military duty. Cumulative being, if I go this year for 2 months and it's non-exempt, then 2 months is subtracted from the 60 months of the 5 year clock. And then maybe next year I go for 2 weeks. So that's why I encourage a lot of employers to keep track of when these individuals go on military duty, so that if it reaches the 5 years of non-exempt military service, then you can actually let that person go. You can say, I'm sorry, but you've reached the 5 year limit. and enjoy the military. I've got to hire somebody else.
That's an extraordinary amount of time, though, for someone who's in the Guard or Reserve over a career to be deployed.
Well, I had a police officer in Guam, and he was having a problem with his employer. And I asked him, and I wanted to see how many years or months that he had been in the military that started the 5-year clock. He had been with the police force for like 23 years. He never started that 5-year clock, and he was in the military for the same number of years. Mm-hmm. And it's always because he went on military duty, but he was always into a war zone. He was doing things to support the war, or any kind of operation that was related to preparing for war or in the middle of a war. So when I reviewed it, he never started that 5-year clock. But yet he had been in the military for 23 years and in the police force in Guam for 23 years. So there's a lot of exemptions, by the way. And so you have to study the law, to make sure that any military duty is either exempt or non-exempt to start that 5-year clock. And then, of course, the final requirement for a service member when they return back from military duty is that they must let the employer know that if they're coming back and their service was for, let's say, 30 days or less, they have to report back to work the next day, allowing for at least 8 hours of rest if they were off island. And if they were anywhere 31 to 180 days of military service, they have up to 2 weeks to return to work. If they don't return to work, then they violated that condition, then they're at the mercy of the personnel rules and regulations of the company. And then, of course, if they've been gone for 181 days or longer, they have up to 90 days to report back to work.
That's great. That's the first thing I thought of when you were talking about when they're gone, because if they're not going to just count items and do inventory, if they're out there to do stuff, going from that kind of environment to all of a sudden you're going back to stacking boxes in a warehouse is not an easy transition for anybody, right?
Right.
So I can't imagine what that clock would look like. But do they have provisions, and General, maybe I can ask you that part too, where their time doesn't start right away because maybe instead of going straight back to their home of records, is there like, I almost call it like a halfway point, like where they can go to transition at maybe some kind of hospital or some kind of a facility that helps them transition to get back into regular life before that clock starts?
Well, normally they're probably still on orders, that convalescing or the medical or the resetting, and then also during their period of service they accumulate leave. Mm-hmm. So when you are finished with your mission or get released from medical, your discharge paper is gonna show your actual release from active duty, which included the leave time that you have. So, and then you have the allowances that Dave mentioned. You have so much time to report back to work. So, yeah, you have that reset period that's built in. Usually, also when members come back from deployment, the unit has retransitioning back to civilian life, mm-hmm. and they're on orders for that as well. So it's pretty generous. We the military, the Guard and Reserve, the leadership, they understand. Yeah, you gotta work your way back, and especially if you come back from a combat zone,
yeah,
you gotta clear your mind, and you want to promote the family, get together, get to know each other type again.
Right.
It's not just about for the employer just to have a body back in that position. You want to have somebody who's ready to come back to work and all that other stuff too.
And it's not just the employer, also the family too. The spouse has been running the household for this 6 months, 1 year that you've been away, and now you come back and you're going to take over again. I've been doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got to do that transition too as well.
That is such a big factor. So, and boy, I could talk to you guys all day. I know you have something coming up, but I could easily be like a short thing with you guys would be like an hour because, one of the when I was single the whole time. I was 17 years old. I got out before I hit 21. I only did one enlistment. And I know my military experience through the lens of a single young guy who's really impressionable, but learning all those ropes. Sure. The family aspect, like I was deployed a couple of times, but I didn't have anybody I had to worry about. I wasn't leaving a wife and kids behind, So I can't imagine that dynamic that you just mentioned right there. Again, like you said, I've been running it for the last year, and now I'm just going to turn it back over. Geez, I actually get a little choked up just thinking about the impact that that's got to have on a regular family.
Yeah, Brett, I can mention, I was state chair in 2007, and there was this large deployment here for Army Reserve.
Right.
And so, back then, we didn't have this organization with CNMI as mature as it is now. Said, Dave, we got to go out there and brief those reserve troops. We didn't get no call asking for I said, we need to go out there. We got to brief those troops, tell them what their rights are. And we finally got our foot on the door. It was not a very easy request to fulfill. It's like, who are you? What are you? Why are you? And so we eventually got the time. We were given an hour. These troops never had the ESGR presentation.
Right.
We were given an hour, 2.5 hours into that.
We're still
I told
talking.
the sergeant, I said, John, we really exceeded our time. And
He said, never mind, go ahead.
He said, no, this is so interesting. We had troops said, I quit my job for this deployment. You're saying that I can get that job when I get back?
Yeah. And there's no statute of limitations, by the way. So
We had-
10 years later, you find out that you were not given that job back. You can actually go back
No
and
kidding.
get it. Yeah.
This one kid
Yeah.
came up to Dave. He was employed by at that time. I was
United Airlines.
No, it was Continental, right?
Continental, yeah.
He had been laid off 3 years from an earlier deployment.
Well,
So he found out.
Yeah.
And anyway, 4 hours. We had to leave because we had a flight to catch back.
Yeah. I'll tell you the story of that one. When I was giving the presentation to the Army Reserve unit here, this young man came up. He was a soldier, and he says, "Mr. Sablon, can you help me?" And I go, "What's your problem?" He said, "I came back from military duty, and I think it was United Airlines that he had worked for, and it switched over to Cape Air, and my salary or my wage dropped from what I used to make with United down to $10 an hour with Cape Air. So you're saying that United is responsible?" I said, "Yes, there's called a successor in interest part of the law, which says that if anybody takes over that responsibility, that successor has to also follow the law accordingly. And so you should have transferred at equal level into Cape Air." "Oh, I didn't know that." And so I checked it out, and this poor guy, he had been working for Cape Air like for 3 years already, and he didn't know that he had all these rights and entitlements. So I had to call the United office at that time. It was in Houston. And I talked to an attorney over there, and I said, "Do you know about USERRA?" "Yes, I do." He was actually a former JAG himself.
No kidding.
Yeah, judge advocate corps, right? So anyway, he understood that, and he got this guy to go to Guam and finish his service with United. And he would come up every weekend to visit his family here. And of course, being a member of the United staff, he had free travel. So he'd go to work, for about 5 or 6 days in Guam and come back and spend the weekend with his family. And so every time I'd go into the airport, and he sees me, "Hey, Mr. Sablon, thank you very much." I mean, that was a great story. And this poor guy waited like 3 years before he got his situation corrected the way it should have been. And it was this JAG officer who understood it in Houston with United that said, in fact, I asked him, "So you admit that you were wrong in how you handled that case?" And he says, "I neither confirm nor deny."
So I know that. So when I spoke with Joanne, she said that you guys had to get on here by about 8:30. I hope that we can get you to come back sometime. Like whenever you come back, would love to have you on here and have more of a conversation. And then
maybe we can talk specifically about some of the issues.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then another one is too, even if you can't make it up here, one of the cool things about this platform is video calls. We can do phone calls, you name it. We're able to do all that stuff. But it's been a real treat to have you guys in here, and you do such good work for everybody who's served and continues to serve, and just our community in general, keeping us up to date. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Thank you for your service, Brad.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, well, we're going to take a real quick commercial. Before you go, I want to get you guys my cards and everything and introduce you to our friend Dan over here. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. We're not going anywhere. We still got a lot more show left. We got great star power. You thought that was big? That was big, I know. But we've got other folks coming on too. Dan Shore is coming our way. So again, thanks for tuning in. in, and we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Hey, by the way, this is the easiest chance you can make $50. Watch this commercial.
Yeah, right.
Holiday Marianas, this is Brad Rosala from Good Morning Marianas and the NMI News Service. I've got a special offer from you. This morning, we just had an interview with Chelsea King, a daughter of the Marianas. She is a research assistant at Harvard, where she's getting her PhD. Well, they've got an opportunity for you to get $50 in cash. All you have to do is help them with a research project that they're doing. If you are Chamorro or Carolinian and you're 18 years of age or older, follow this link that's on here or click on that QR code, fill out that brief thing. If you qualify to be in their survey and they think you're going to be able to be in there, they're going to give you $50 once you complete it. It's a 90-minute interview that they're going to do. Again, it's a interview that's going to be on WhatsApp or some kind of video call. And once you're done with it, they're going to send you $50 in cash. Not a joke, not a maybe, not a something. This is an opportunity for you to get $50 and help a research project for Harvard. And you're going to be helping a daughter of the Pacific who's getting her doctoral degree from Harvard as well. So check out that link. Check out that QR code. It's your chance to win $50. There's only a limited amount of space that they're going to have in there. So you want to do it soon so that you could be one of those 30 to 50 people who get that $50. Again, it's probably the easiest $50 you're ever going to make, and you get to have a video phone call with somebody who's from the CNMI. Pretty cool, right? All right, so check them out. And that's the opportunity that we've got for you that we're putting out. So spread, let everybody know, share it, like it, get it around, because it could be the easiest $50 you get while helping somebody get their degree out there at Harvard. Not just somebody from the CNMI. Take
Number 14,
It's a great day to be up 3-0. I'll tell you that. Probably is not great to be down. I'm Brad Rosala, and I'm the owner for Commonwealth Communications.
And I am Jojo Alipuzu. I am the owner of Island Image and Motion.
And this is our joint venture, Sideline Studios. This whole concept that we have of doing all these live stream productions and covering news and doing live shows and everything, it wouldn't happen if we didn't have a great partner like IT&E, someone who can handle the bandwidth and provide it and then get us what we need when we need it, and then be a real partner for us for all the events, whether we're doing live sporting events, broadcasts. All of these things happen because of our partnership with IT&E.
With IT&E providing us with the fiber and point-to-point and even the MBRs, is just a great piece of equipment to use when we're broadcasting our sports, our events, our performances, especially our cultural performances. And it's just great to share our culture here in the Marianas with the world. And IT&E has been there from the get-go.
The thing I like best about working with IT&E is how willing they are to come out and find a solution. Even for Liberation Day, we thought we had a pretty good solution for our live stream setup, and it turns out that we did not have the right setup that we thought we needed. That day, just before the parade, reached out to Paul and said, here's our situation. What do you think? He's like, we're gonna figure this out. While he's sitting there barbecuing, getting ready for the parade to start, he starts burning up the phone lines, calling everybody in IT&E, what can we do, what's the right solution? They left their families to do this stuff and get us the equipment that we needed to broadcast live. That's over and above. That's on a holiday. That's when he was out there spending time with his family.
That's why IT&E is just the best, just really in touch with the people and the community.
I recommend IT&E to everybody. Tell them the options are there, and you could choose whoever you want and then figure out what you think is the best. But when you're ready, when you're tired of having your calls disconnected or not having service, then you reach out to the guys from IT&E.
Hey, I'm Coach Derek Cutting, the owner and founder of Laddie Built Fitness. So no matter who you talk to here at Laddie Built, everyone feels that they are part of a family, part of a group of like-minded people. No one feels judged. No one feels like they're being teased or picked on or or looked down upon because maybe they don't know what they're doing. They could be brand new and have no idea what they're doing. They might be overweight or really skinny and feel very self-conscious about themselves. But at Laddie Built, nobody judges here. And if you ask anybody here that might be in better shape than you or even not, but has experience in the gym, they will gladly help you through a workout and teach you a few techniques that could help you. So Laddie Built organically from day one, since the boot camp era, has organically grown this fostered environment of community and being a safe place, but a strong work ethic community of people that want to get work done. All I can say is that I put my heart and soul into it from day one. I treated everyone like that at the boot camp from the very, very beginnings, and everyone at the same time would treat each other like that from the boot camp era as well. And as we grew, as we got into a brick and mortar facility, we got bigger and bigger. I feel like people definitely just take this place as a home, as like their brother and sisters are working out next to them, not their enemy or not their competitor, So organically, it's just the vibe here is different. Everyone feels very, very comfortable, and I love the fact that it happened like that.
For every generation, it has started with the call to serve. Discovering the purpose and the belonging earned with the title. Learning to dig deep and push through adversity together. Defending our nation and its people. It is a life of great worth and reward. But Marines are never really finished serving. Their commitment comes full circle, visible in communities across our country. This is Semper Fidelis, always faithful, always Marine, marking a path for the next generation.
The Earth is 70% water. And 30% land. But the entire sky belongs to us. Copy that. Team Hireman.
Be a Lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence to build. Be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book. Be a Lottie where discipline and vision is built. We lead by example, persistence to build. Be the inspiration, they witness the proof. We do what we do by the rules in the book.
Who is that guy on the screen?
I am obviously obviously Sakuraka Halstead.
Hey, it is
And
great.
this is Mariana's coffee.
It is indeed Mariana's coffee. Oh my gosh. Good morning, Mariana, and welcome back. We got the split screen going again today. I don't know if this is just a little too much split screen going on. Maybe I've got like all three of these things going. Is there a way I could just knock it down to two? I can, and it still looks bad, but you look good. I just got to take out the other guy's logo. Boom. I do have a great setup for you on this. And you're like, Brad, what are you talking about? Anyway, welcome back, Marianas. We've got other stuff that we're going to be doing today, but right now we have our superstar in studio with us, a friend of the show, a friend of us, someone that we've known for a long time, and we're lucky to have him back here in the CNMI. Dan Shore, International Man of Mystery. It is great to have you on here. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. Good morning.
All right, so now I'm going to ask you could you pull the microphone a little bit closer to you? It'll extend out.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you can pull that.
Oh,
yeah, look
man.
at that. Yeah. It's a we call it the Egu microphone because it gets jealous when it's far away from you. Hey, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you. I've been waiting to do this. I've been waiting to do it.
And he's been waiting all morning while I was talking with everybody else. I know you've got stuff that you're going to do, but we'll talk about those guys who just left from the ESGR. We're going to end up going to their, they call it Lunch with a Boss, and that'll be tomorrow, where we're going to hear all kinds of great stuff from them, and that it's going to be a nice lunch for us. They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but
it's called mess.
Mess?
It's military.
There you go. That's right. Our military correspondent, Dan Shore, keeping me on my toes.
I've been in the movie.
You have been. And so let's do this. So let's talk about like who you are, because everybody's got to know you. I mean, we see you on KSPN every night. Yep. For folks who don't know you, though, well, give us a little Dan Shore in a nutshell.
Oh, Jesus. I've had when you bring that up, I think it's sort of like 9 lives. I believe that human beings should experience more than one thing in their lifetime. And we change and we move and we create lives. And for the last 40 years, I've been an actor in the movies. That's the biggest thing that I've done. I've done a whole lot of other stuff, but that is the biggest thing that I identify as.
And that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's incredibly cool. But it is what it is. It's no more cool than you running marathons in Rhoda. I mean, really, they're blips in time, and each film or each creative experience is a blip and a massive memory that one creates, and it sits somewhere in your soul. And I compare that to a lot of things, a lot of people. And what's so cool about the people on Saipan is that so many of them have those kind of memories. If you've ever been in the military, each deployment is the kind of memory that I have. Now, it's a completely different experience. It's life and death, but it is a memory. It is a part of your life. It is a chapter. And I have had a lot of cool chapters. I'll go with that.
Nice. All right. So I know acting is the coolest thing. Like when I heard that you were here when I first got here and I heard about your background, I'm like, no way. Like, that's so awesome, right? And I can't believe that was 20 years ago and you're still cool.
And you're still young. That's the weird part. I just found out you're like over 50 and you look like you're a chubby 35.
That's accurate.
But you're a slim 50. That's the weird thing, you know? It's just, but it's true. You haven't aged. It's weird, and that's what I love about Saipan. People just sort of like, I've lost 10 years since I've been here.
No. Oh yeah, you do. You look great.
It's 5 months out of the stress of New York, out of the stress of the cosmopolitan existence.
Well, and I mean, like I always thought there was one of two things I was going to do when I got old. When I was a little kid, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm either going to live like in a very like a metropolitan area, like in a city somewhere, because I thought that would be great. Or I'd live somewhere way out in the middle of nowhere. It turns out I'm in the latter. But I don't really think of this as that. Like, 'cause even though we are kind of like on a little island, but the idea of living in the city, definitely I loved it because I knew everything would be close by, walking around to everything. And but so now you've done a lot of both of those. Do you have a preference, or do you?
I love the big city when you're playing the game in the big city. If you are a stockbroker and you're trading the greatest stocks in the world, if you're an actor working with the greatest actors in the world, if you're a chef and you're making the greatest food in the world, awesome. My wife is a hairstylist, cutting the hair of the most brilliant human beings on the earth. Her life is rich. When I'm in New York, the last time I'm working as an actor, maybe 3 months a year in a play and 2 weeks a year in television or film. My career is not what it used to be. And most of the time, then I'm pissed. So what I have found, that's when it's great. On Saipan, what's really interesting is that you are as interesting as Jeff Bridges. And not just you. There are people on this island who are brilliant with ideas, the exact opposite of mine. I see them at Skipper's. I've been to, and I talk with people with opposite opinions of the world as me, but their lives are rich. Their experiences are rich. Their opinions are rich, and they make sense. So I'm meeting brilliant people. I always have. And this is not a Rube Island. Do you know what I mean? This is not rural Arkansas, which also has brilliant people in it. But there are brilliant people on this island from everywhere on Earth.
Man, you know, it's cool that you've had all these different experiences of doing all these things. And I'm trying to not ask you the questions that probably everybody asks you all the time.
Yeah.
Ooh, what was it like doing this? What was your favorite acting experience? I mean, that's probably not a bad question. I've never asked you that. What is your favorite experience that you've had? I know maybe it's not just one. You don't have to limit it to one. But
it's not one. It's a funny thing. Anytime you do a creative effort, look, I've been in movies where I've been in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, movies that live for a long time, so that when you look back on them, they have a special meaning because you see them on TV all the time. They live, and people come up to you all the time and say, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Billy the Kid, Billy the Kid. That thing happens, so it seems to have more meaning. But when I shot State of Liberty here on Saipan, that I wrote with my friends, with local people, with Ben Salas, with Rabbi and Victoria Syed, when I shot it with Joe Tyrone and Mila Dietz and L.J. Castro. I mean, these people it was amazing. It has just as much meaning to me. And the way I describe it to a lot of people is I've worked with John Huston, one of the great film directors on earth. It was like playing in the World Series in the major leagues, okay? But if you've ever been in the championship of a softball league, just as big. It's just as big in your memory. Because I've been on championship teams in softball in Los Angeles. Big stuff. It was just as big as me going to an opening at Lincoln Center of a movie that I made. I swear to God, and my memory is just as rich having shot this thing in Saipan. So all the time that I was back in New York being frustrated, you know, not having the career that I used to have, I dreamed of coming back here knowing that the artistic creation among magical people is just as rich here as it is in Hollywood or on the streets of New York.
You know, when you talk about having the career that you used to have, but you're always performing. And one thing I thought about when I was the anchor over there at KSPN was that we are putting on a show every night. And that not just like a news program or something. We're putting on a performance every single night. The lights are bright. You got to be there. You have to play your part. And although the dialogue might change, you're playing that same part. And no matter how you're feeling, no matter how you're doing, you have to do it every single night. You're going on live and going on.
Yeah, it's a role, but it is the role of a newscaster. What's really interesting is that you did it for how long? 2-3 years?
No, just about a year, a little over a year.
Okay, Sakura and I are still figuring out how to do it. Okay, we both project the newscaster image that we want to project. Okay, it's us. It's not somebody else, but it is. If Dan Shore were a newscaster, this is how he would do it. I'm doing the newscasters that I like. You know what I mean? I'm not doing newscasters I hate. I'm not playing a. There are so many newscasters in America.
Forget it, we'll do it live.
Or small town news. Yeah, well, who are acting dumb. I don't want to act dumb. I want because the newscasters I like are smart. And Sakura is kind. You read it.
Yes.
She's sweet. She's kind. She's fun. She's playful, and she cares. You see all of those things. That's her. But I also see her using her newscaster back. You know. But what's more important is we are now figuring out the show that we want to make, and we're making it better and better and better every day, or more and more and more the show we want every day. Our show is based on what just happened, okay? And the last few days we've had nothing happened. So we have to do those stories, but more importantly, and they're good stories, there are no not good stories. But there's some of them that just, oh my God, a guy doesn't show up in court. We're making news out of that.
Right.
Because there's no news. But the point is that we are communicating to the audience things that we believe that interest us. And if it interests us, it should interest them.
So I remember it took them a little while because I was doing the same thing. Did you do any test runs with the guys? Before you did your first show? Like, did you practice on the teleprompter or anything?
For an hour or for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes. What I love about Chris Nelson is there's water, throws you in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he knew that we could do it. I mean, it wasn't like Chris goes, you guys can't swim. You can swim. This is just salty water. You've never been in this salty water before. Chris threw us right in. I mean, I flew 24 hours and I was on the air the next day.
Wow. So I remember sitting with the production guys. So I know you guys got Tone and Jay and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I watched my posture, how I was holding my head, and my pacing and everything. And I was racing through it.
Yeah.
Just like I figured that maybe I would sound like I had more command of the material if I was racing through it. But it's just the opposite, So it's just take your time with it, be confident, be composed, and be deliberate with your approach.
Yeah. Well, I knew that from day one. I mean, the one thing was that I knew was how to live on camera. Mm-hmm. It wasn't scary to me. That's the one thing that I'm comfortable with. So I was already slow. That's much slower than I am. I'm fast. So I slowed it all down and knew that because I knew we're also often reading. Mm-hmm. Slow it down so you don't have to keep up to that. You make them slow down. You're timing with your teleprompter, with Jay, who's running the teleprompter. Slow him down, because I could always speed up. Mm-hmm. It's harder for him to slow down. So I got that, and that way that wasn't the part that got me. The part that got me was doing 3 stories in a day.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And having to.
And good ones.
Good ones. You never want to not be good. Okay, that's the thing. When I was here 20 years ago, I worked for the Visitors Channel, and I wrote and directed most of the pieces on the Visitors Channel 20 years ago, and we had a week to prepare. I would research. I would do location scouting. I would put the crew together. I had it so prepared, and then we would shoot, and then we'd have a week to edit. We're doing 3 stories in a day, and often they're just as good. It's just a matter of Chris just says you got to do it. Just do it.
It keeps you sharp. So I remember when I was doing the same kind of thing. Like I would almost ask questions because I could see how the story is going to piece together in my final production stuff. So kind of not leading the story or anything, but like ask those kind of questions that I think will piece together after knowing a little bit about it ahead of time. I think the hardest part for me was getting all the context, because I wasn't studying every news story that was in the papers and on TV. All the 10 years I had lived here, 11 years I lived here before I got on the news. Yeah. So when I got there, I'm like, I don't know who the the secretary of so-and-so is. I don't know who the legislators are, and the courtrooms and the schedules. Like, how hard was that to kind of get used to?
I'm still doing it. Here's the other terrible thing, is that this is a shocking admission. I don't remember people like I used to. You know what I mean? Your brain at your age is still percolating. Mine is less than it was. It's the reality of age.
Well, but you've met so many more people. You've got.
I know, but I meet all these people here. I meet the legislators. I know that guy, but I'm not sure. I mean, there are some that I know. There's 5 or 6 that I know because I've interviewed them. I hung out with them. There are people that come up to me and say, Dan, oh, we did this interview last week. It's great to see you. And I'm going, and I'm going, oh my God, that's so horrifying.
Can you tell me what your name is? My name is Chris Nelson.
No, it might have been, I interviewed him for a second, in passing. But still, it was, I'm still learning these things. And for example, I just met these guys today. I had no idea what I'm walking into. So my job as a newscaster is to be curious and to learn with the audience.
And you don't just get to be an anchor. Like you are, so and actually I think it's a lot better because you're not just teeing up stories that are going to run. You're going out there to get it, and you're getting to know all the people and getting more connected with the community too. So I think it's a way better spot than even like a lot of people when they get the job here, they're transient, right? They're trying to get to the next bigger market. Maybe they just graduated or something, and they're like, "Ooh, I want to get to Guam. Ooh, I want to get to Hawaii. Oh, I want to get to wherever." But here, you have the real ability to connect with so many different folks.
And this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing this for. I will not be a newscaster anywhere else on earth. I don't think. I bet you I play one in the movies, though.
That would be really cool.
I have no doubt about it.
You're going to be, I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore.
I auditioned for the play of
No.
Network. Yes, on Broadway for that role.
Get out.
Yeah, recently. 6 months ago.
Really?
And my cousin said to me, Dan, I don't buy you as an anchor. And then I've been doing this show, and he wrote me back and he said, Dan, I buy you as an anchor.
I can't buy you as a crazy guy yet. I mean, really, I'm not saying it joking, but like, not that he was like a genuinely angry man, like the way it was portrayed in the movie.
Oh, you haven't seen me? Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, I'll believe it. I haven't seen you in all those roles. I haven't seen all of your range. I have seen. I've been fortunate enough to see some of it.
Nobody's seen it. I mean, they see it because I've done a lot of things, a lot of plays, and a lot of movies and television shows. So there's a whole gamut, and we all can do that. All of my peers can do all of it. I believe.
That's awesome. So you're out here. It's cool that you're back. I mean, it was really cool that you're back.
I wanted to tell one story before. I think we should talk about the movies and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
But I wanted to say this. What's another thing that's special to me? My dad, who died about 7 years ago, he was old, 96. When he was young, when he graduated college, he was a newspaperman in Scranton, Pennsylvania. His job was to go get the news, shoot the news with a Nikon camera, get the interview, bring it back to the newspaper. He did the pictures and he did the story. I am now my dad again. And I'm wearing orthopedic shoes, just like my dad. It's a wonderful feeling to do that cycle. We did this with Bob Bracken yesterday, and you said it 2 days ago. You did a beautiful piece. Did you see it?
Oh, I didn't.
It's good. Last night. You're in.
Thanks.
And it's beautiful. And it's a wonderful thing wearing your dad's shoes, somebody who you look up to. And so I'm doing that. My mom was an actress.
Okay.
And I wore her shoes for 45 years. But I never did the reporter thing. My dad always thought I'd be a lawyer because I'm sure your parents thought you would be a lawyer.
They thought I'd be anything, but not this.
But a lawyer because you're fast mouthed and a fast brain, and you're able to communicate. So they assumed that how do you make money, and lawyer, perfect for our personalities. And that's what they thought. But I followed my mom, and now I'm following my dad.
So now, as a 50-something year old, if you had the opportunity to sit down with your dad when he was the age where you're at now, like just a couple of guys sitting over having a cup of coffee in the morning, how do you think that would go?
It would be, we'd be talking about the news, how to get it, what is your responsibility, what do you report, and who are you in service to. My dad believed in service. You do. That's one of the things. I never did the military, but every time I hear the word service, I believe that actors are in service. That's what we do. Our job is to share what it is to be human with other human beings. It is a service industry, and 99% of actors are poor. Successful actors are middle class. I did well for a period of time, but most of my life, I'm middle class, right? Because when you made a lot of that money, it lasts for a long period of time, okay? There's a few of them who are, but George Clooney, he's rich, but he's chosen service. Tom Hanks has chosen to be of service. Arnold Schwarzenegger has chosen to be of service. And our performances, we believe, to be in service to humanity. We're not just none of us who are good did it to become rich. We all did it because it felt great to be of service. Or even if you're an entertainer like a football player, or entertainment as a basketball player, that is a service. You know, you don't play for you, not the good ones.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, because I like what I'm doing, because I feel like this is a service to the community. Like,
it is.
Being a conduit of information for, all these other things. Like, the information's out there, right? Yeah. But everybody else has a regular job, regular life, and all that. And I feel like we kind of help make it a little bit easier for everybody to do all that stuff by getting them all the information. Sure, they could call Department of whatever and the secretary whatever, or they could tune in later and watch what happened at the House or something, or the Senate. But we kind of make it a little bit easier to let them know what's happening in our community. And it does feel like it's the closest thing to, like, when I was doing the public information stuff for the utility, I felt like that was a real service. And I almost felt like a little guilty that I'm getting all this FaceTime talking about what everybody is really doing. Right. So I had to deal with that a little bit. But over the years, I found out, I think we are doing a service to the community. I just haven't heard it coming from another person. I absolutely, that really strikes a chord with me. So thanks.
Yeah, that's what I believe. And my dad and I would talk about that.
Oh, geez. We got a call coming in. Let's find out. Hafideh Zantiro, thanks for calling the show. Who's this?
Hey, Brad, what's up? It's Don calling from
Hey, Don. Hey, sorry, we're on the show right now. Are you calling for the show? Yeah. Hey, we'll call you back.
Okay. All
Thanks.
right, sounds good.
All right. That's Don Manabusa. By the way, a great guy with AB Risk Solutions. Do you your car insurance? Who do you guys use?
I don't know.
Oh,
Pacifica?
Oh, I don't know. Well, anyway, these guys are great with me. They remind me about everything. I don't have to worry about a thing. It's awesome. All right. So, I literally, when it's time to renew and everything like that, I don't even have to know. I don't have to keep track of it. They call me and let me know everything. It's awesome. So, getting back to it, though, we were talking about the service and how it means something, and what you would be talking to your dad about.
Yes. And, well, he would also teach me about it. My dad, it's good. I'm sitting here weep about my dad. He's fine. He's in a really great place. But
I just think it would be an interesting conversation, like that you guys, if you're about the same age, say, you know what, Dad, you could share the experiences, not just with the work stuff, but what life is like and how you got to where you're at and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Great journeys. My dad had an amazing journey. But here's the interesting part is my dad was very proud of me. Never not. That's what I loved about him. He always, acting careers go, mine went really high at the age of, I'll give you a brief background with you. I was on Broadway at 18 in a play called Equus.
Wow.
Which was, it isn't done. This isn't done. And it was a huge thing. And from that, I went straight into television, straight into a miniseries called Studs Lonigan, where I played Studs Lonigan. It was a huge deal. That job alone kept me working for a minimum of 10 years nonstop.
No kidding.
And from there, it went to Wise Blood, a John Huston movie, to Tron, to theater in Los Angeles, to eventually Cagney and Lacey, a television series that I was on, which was the Emmy awarding best show. And then to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, San Diego Theater, Shakespeare, to becoming a theater director in Los Angeles for award-winning, I mean, over and over and over and over again, but then watching the income go, because I went from Billy the Kid, I was 30 when I'm playing Billy the Kid.
Wow.
And within 6 months, I felt 30. You know, I couldn't play kids anymore, and everybody saw me as a kid. So I didn't make that physical, like you. Well, you're probably 35, looking 25, but you don't feel it. It's not reading anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I couldn't, my career went from these great roles to doctor number 3, lawyer number 4, no-name lawyer, to, you know, just, and then I started to direct. And from the directing came just directing until I was flown to Saipan by Greg Kurta and Butch Wolf to come and work and do a 6-week job in NMC.
So, you know, all right, so now that we're talking about all, like, the first of all, like, Tron, it's easy for me to say how awesome of an opportunity that must have been, because I've, you know, seen how it's grown, and the other spin, like the Tron Legacy, all that other stuff, right? But at the time you got that, did you know what a big deal that was, or what kind of a movie that was going to be? Yeah. You knew right away. That's awesome.
No, we thought it was a $40 million movie, and at that time, that was a Star Wars sized movie. Okay, I thought we were going to be cartoon heroes. You know, it was all animated. So I thought, yes, I am Robin. Tron is Batman. I'm Robin. Robin dies. The movie takes off. That was the story. And I thought this was the thing. And it wasn't. Tron did not do that well. It's lived for a long time and has done incredibly well. But at the time, it was so ahead of its time, and it was all this computer animation that had never been done. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Batman and Robin.
The video games were awesome.
Oh, everything is awesome. And everything is awesome now. It's all awesome.
Yeah, I know. I always thought it was cool. I mean, I remember the music, you know, the score for it and everything, and the action and all that. I mean, I thought it was terrific. So, but you knew it in the moment that this was going to be something cool.
Yes.
And then Bill and Ted's, I can't imagine that I would have thought it would be so cool if I read a script, having read 0 scripts in my life, right? Like for something I was auditioning for, but what a huge monster hit that thing was.
That is one we did not think was going to be a hit. Didn't. That was one, after I left Cagney and Lacey. They killed me on Cagney and Lacey, and I had all of a sudden get this. I auditioned for this movie. I read and I go, not something that I was doing when I was really successful. Mm-hmm. I would not have done it. I've turned down a bunch of movies. I turned down a movie like Porky's, right? Because I thought it was so stupid. I watched the movie. I laughed my butt off. I love Porky's. God, what an idiot I was. But I was, I'm so important. I don't want to do Porky's. And by the time it was Bill and Ted, I'm going, what an idiot movie this is. And then I showed up on the set, and Keanu and Alex Winter were so delightful and so magical as human beings that's what made the movie great. The rest of us were fine. The script was cute. These kids were magic. And that is what made it magic. So we didn't know it. We had no idea that Bill and Ted was going to be what it was until maybe just not taking your eyes off these kids and being off camera, smiling, not laughing, smiling. And then you're going, oh, well, that's the movie. And the rest of us were just having a party, all of us. I'm still friends with Jane Whelan, who was from the Go-Go's and was Joan of Arc. We're still friends. And we were just having a party. We were just having a blast.
That's awesome. So going from that transition from, what kind of movie is this, to you experience that, did that change your outlook on other scripts then afterwards, that you were open to more ideas?
No, what the reality is that as an actor, you get whatever opportunities you can get. When you're doing really well, like I did when I was young, I would be reading a lot of scripts. Mm-hmm. And I am now auditioning for all of the parts that Timothée Chalamet is doing now. Those are the parts I was reading for, okay?
Wow.
Later on, I'm auditioning to play his doorman. Mm-hmm. So whatever circumstances you're in are what it is. No, if I read a script that I think is dumb as hell now, I still think it's dumb as hell. Will I do it? Yes, because I'm going to give it my all, and it's so much fun to get paid to play softball. It's so much fun to act, so that I don't know what I would turn down anymore. I don't know that I've turned anything down in 20 years, but because I'm so invested in the game. Do you know what the game, not the sport, not the game of business, but the sport of acting. The baseball game, the tennis match. When you're in a cast, when you're doing a play or a movie or a TV show, you're playing. So I will make whatever scene I'm in special, guaranteed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, but you started at 18. So how did you get to that first?
Okay, it's a good story. It's a simple story. I grew up in Manhattan, and I went to a hippie school in Greenwich Village.
Okay.
And I was doing plays in my high school. I was in every play. I was on the basketball team, 5'7". I was on the soccer team. I was on the softball team. And I acted in every play. And I had an agent. There was an agent, was one of my classmates' mother.
No kidding.
And I was on a Search for Tomorrow at age 17 in high school, and I did some plays off Broadway in New York. And when Equus was on Broadway in New York, Peter Firth was the star, British. And I walked up to the backstage, and I said, "I hear there's a part for me in this play." And they said, "Excuse me?" "Yeah, I've just arrived from Britain, and I hear there's a part for me in this play." And I got an audition.
Wow.
Handed it to my agent and said, "I pulled this." And they said, "You did what?"
At 18, you had the agent? That's your friend's
mother.
Okay, yeah.
Classmate's mother. New York. It's, sort of like, yeah. If you play baseball in Florida, you will get a baseball contract if you're great. And if you're an actor in New York and you're pretty good on high school, that means something because that's where the actors are.
And I am a little envious that you were that.
It's called chutzpah.
Yeah, well, I mean, just that you were that open to doing more things when you were in school, because I didn't do that until my senior year. Yeah. I just played sports, and that was it. I didn't join any clubs. I didn't do anything else. It was just sports, and specifically it was hockey, right? And so something happened the summer between junior and senior year. I'm like, I don't think I'm really experiencing this whole high school experience. And there's this really cute girl, that I've had homeroom with ever since 7th grade. You know, you move all the way up. And I'm like, all right, she was in the art club every year. I'm joining an art club this year, Jennifer Ryan.
Yeah.
And of course, senior year, they put up the posters. It's art club meeting day, time, and all that. I'm like, all right, I go there. It's the first time she's not there. And I didn't tell her I was going, so I know it wasn't because of that. But she ends up not doing it. But then that's what opened the door for everything else. So somehow, this kid who's never been in the art club, they made me vice president of the art club. I'm like, okay, great. So what am I going to do with that? Then I met another girl there who said, well, you should do this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's the show choir. I'm like, the show choir. All right. So I go next door, and I end up auditioning for the show choir, and they're like, holy cow. All right. Yeah, you're in. And then, so I'm in the show choir, and then the friends that and now this is a whole different part of the school that I did not hang out in for the previous 3 years.
Where was this? What state?
In Lancaster, outside of Buffalo, New York.
Oh, okay, Buffalo.
Yeah. And so, again, that's the artsy part of the high school that I never was in. Not because I just never had any business that brought me down there, right? Yeah. And then the friends who I had known and been in different classes with, but not really known very well, they're like, oh, well, we got to get you in the concert choir. I'm like, well, there was a rule, like you can't make it unless you've been there for a year in one of the other ones. So they got me into that. So now I got my audition. They said, yes, if you're into this is your senior year, we're going to let you in. I'm like, wow. So this is our choir director, Mr. Lee. And through doing that was the school musical. And knowing that, I'm like, wow, all right. They're like, oh, you got to do it. You got to do it. Now, these are my friends who weren't really my close friends before, but now this is my little circle. So I got into the high school musical, which sounds like its own movie title right there. It was Pippin, and great show.
I auditioned for that on Broadway.
Get out. Great show.
Yeah.
A wonderful show.
The original, yeah.
Yeah. It was, I don't remember the actor's name. The Greatest American Hero was the guy who was the...
William Catt.
There you go.
I worked with him.
No kidding.
Yeah, in a TV show.
It wasn't Greatest American Hero or something else?
No, it was something else. It was Dark Justice. It was a television series, and we were opposing attorneys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you win?
No.
Oh.
It's William Catt.
You can't.
They didn't hire him to lose.
Yes. Dan Short got me again. But that's what got me into that. And it was a great experience. Went on the trips with that and everything. Again, girls. It was great. And I'm like, I can't believe I wasted the other 3 years that I was in this school not doing this and exploring how far, I could do all this. The singing part, the acting part. I didn't like the dancing part so much of the show choir with a little da-da-da-da-da-da. But I'm like, oh, I could have had a way more enriching experience growing up in those previous 3 years. But I did everything. I crashed it all into my senior year before I went off into the service.
Good for you.
But you got to do that, and it launched you.
I had something. My mother had one of her best friends. Their daughter was going to this summer camp. In Manhattan, kids go to summer camp, okay? They'd send us away for 2 months to go into the woods and be artsy and craftsy and play sports. But I ended up following a classmate, a friend of my parents' kid, to an arts camp where there was theater. And I was 14, and I had only played sports before in my life. That's all I ever did. I was a little jock and a little terror. A New York City, spitting, fighting, nasty little boy.
Stickball?
Stickball in the street.
All right.
Punchball. Handball. But in the traffic. We played touch football in the traffic on West 89th Street. But then they send me off to this arts and crafts camp where there was beautiful girls, not just girls, but beautiful girls. And the boys were not straight.
Oh, so they were beautiful too.
No, I was the straight guy, and all of a sudden, I'm incredibly handsome. I've always been a goofy, I am what I look like, you know what I mean? You and I, we're easy on the eyes.
We're okay.
We're okay. but I was really handsome all of a sudden as a straight human being, and I really enjoyed that, and that stuck. But I always thought of it as playing sports co-ed.
No kidding. I also went to summer camp, and I still remember the girl I had a crush on. This is the 80s for me, a little bit after you, but like where the girls had those, there's different styles, those big old hats and all that. Oh, man, good times. Yeah. Dina was a girl I had a big crush on. And this other girl who I met, Heather, oh, my God, I could see her face. But the only reason I bring her up, she ended up growing up like a town over or something. I never knew her. We were in this other camp somewhere else. We ended up going to high school together. Wow. And it was so funny because we ended up, I think we ended up making out or something like that. These are the important things we need to bring up. And but she ended up doing a lot of those same things. Like I got to know her a little bit more senior year because she was into all that kind of stuff too. Yeah. Holy cow, good times. I haven't thought about that stuff in ages, but I still have dreams of that summer camp. It was such a cool experience, the place that we went to and all that.
And one of my other best friends, I had a friend he was from my high school, junior high school. We went to this camp together at the same time, and we were in a play together and we were great friends for years and years and years and years. And then he said, Dan, I'm gay. And I went, no, I didn't know you were gay. And he says, what is that? Does that affect anything? I said, no, what? You're still you. Yeah. Don't you touch me. No, but we're still great friends. But it was something that I have now experienced for the rest of my life. It's another thing that I got to know my dad about. My dad went from the news to the public relations man for Clairol.
Get out.
Yes. He became the public relations man for Clairol, which meant that he spent 40 years working with mostly gay people from fashion, hairstylists, fashion, high fashion photography, his whole life. And my mother was a theater person. Half of her friends were gay. I didn't know any of this because it didn't mean anything until you're 15 and you start knowing what sexuality is. Mm-hmm. And then that is something that opened up the world to me. That it is just what it is. And, yeah.
That's so funny. So, same thing. I remember high school, we had not like he's watching anyway, but one of the kids that we went to high school with, like in our grade, and one of the girls not the girl who I liked in one of my classes, we were talking about this guy, Tim, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that guy's gay. She's like, oh, he's not gay. And I made, because of what you said about the fashion, she's like, he's just very fashionable. I'm like, oh, that's what it was. Oh, I guess, well, Nicole said that he's not gay, so I guess he's not gay, so that was it.
Hugh Jackman's still not gay. So there you go.
That guy's got it all. He can sing, he can dance, he can do it all.
And so there you go. It's just, what do you eat? It's just, come on. It's a nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big thing at all, by the way. Now, a different line of conversation, but I don't understand how that even got to be a thing. But I remember that when I was in the 90s, it was the Bill Clinton era, right? So I went from the Bush to Clinton time was when I was in the service. And that's where the don't ask, don't tell or whatever. But I didn't really think anything about anything other than about it. Just gay was just the thing that you would say as a pejorative about something you don't like. That's gay. I don't like that. But it never really was anything derogatory to any of the people, right?
Right.
It's not like you're less of a person because of it or something like that. But you ever hear the Bill Burr, any of his comedy? Yeah, so that similar stuff, the different pejoratives you throw out there if somebody got hurt, all that kind of stuff.
And it's funny, and it's just funny. If it's funny, it's funny, period. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But I don't know when it changed. But anyway, I don't know where to go with all that conversation.
But that's just part of my world. That's the point. Is that I'm in these. I'm now. When you're in New York, LA is more movies and television. New York is a lot more theater.
Theater,
Yeah, it's a lot more theater. The TV there is you're just grateful to do it because there's so few shows.
You know what? That's another thing. So that was something I realized that in high school that I can't believe about that because it wasn't just the school and everything, but the whole culture of the theater, right? That I hadn't experienced that before that. Like I got to see Phantom of the Opera in New York. I got to, and then I'm like, wow, this is such a beautiful art form. The music, the acting, the drama, how you can ride along with the emotions and everything. And that until we were having this conversation, I hadn't thought about it, at least recently, how much I miss that, the culture of it. Like with the first time I brought Kathy to New York, so we're not from the city, we're from Buffalo, cross state, but I'm like, we got to go to New York City if you're coming here. And then, and we're going to go catch a show. Caught The Lion King. Amazing.
And even 20 years later, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I got goosebumps thinking about it right now. Like, the opening, coming down the aisles. Incredible show. Like, I had never seen anything like it. I've seen Les Mis a whole bunch of times in different cities, and Phantom I've seen in different cities. But and it's great to see how the different actors, perform in all those different places, and then the notes, and I almost want to sing along with some of those things, because I've done it in the car or at home. But now that I've been out here 22 years and counting, it's that is a cultural thing that I feel like I'm missing out on because I also don't keep up with it.
I just did a story on the Glee Club at Marianas High School. They're awesome.
They are.
They're awesome. They're not. My daughter went to LaGuardia High School where Timothy Chalamet went, which was music and art, which was the musical Fame. It's that high school.
Really?
Their shows now are Broadway. Their shows, these high school kids, are as good as Broadway.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they are that good. But Marianas High School is as good as I was on Broadway. I mean, not on Broadway, in high school. My high school musicals, they're just as good as that. They're lovely. They don't suck. They're really lovely. They're wonderful. And it's here. And it really shocked me.
Unfortunately, there's not a real good venue for them to perform, right?
There's not.
So, in our school, and we were public school kids growing up, and our public school is pretty great. All the property taxes, fund all that stuff.
I don't know if they're funded anymore. That's the United States has cut back on arts funding because there's no money. They cut back on that. You can't argue with it. I mean, you can argue with it, but you can't argue with it. If you have no money, you have no money. So a lot of people have cut back, and a lot of states eliminate it because they're stupid. But But there are a lot of cities and a lot of townships that just can't afford a violin. They can't afford the lights. They can't afford what they need to afford.
Well, the good news is, so I remember it would come up a lot about sports and about the other electives, and the activities, and it was always the same thing. The old people don't want to pay extra so that the kids can do the sports or whatever, the funding for it. Again, my lens is a little skewed because I remember living in New York as a kid, as opposed to now. But the old people are I don't want to pay more property taxes so that kid can play music or play sports or whatever. Right. So that happened. But the actual school that we had a great auditorium. So we had the main gym, right, with for all the big sports and all that stuff. We had a secondary gym for without the crowd, right, with the same size basketball court. But we even had a pool, an indoor pool, because it's Buffalo, New York area. It's cold. Yeah. But our auditorium was outstanding. Plush seats, you name it, all the way big, with a real deal stage, the different levels to it and everything. The wings, you can get up there. I can't believe, thinking back at it, holy crap, that's what a public high school was compared to what we get here.
Right.
Where it's hard to get anything.
Yes, but their show is wonderful. Marianas High School, they just did this lighting. That's it. But it was great. It was great.
Where did they do it?
In the lunchroom.
Oh, the
in
cafetorium. Yeah.
Yeah, just lit it up. It was awesome. And it was run by the kids, you know?
That's excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know that Glee Club that they got, and I won't keep you too much longer. I know I could talk to you forever, and that's a good thing because I like it. But the Paul DeHua, when you first came here, he was working at PIC, and he was their marketing guy doing some graphics and stuff like that. But he was always with the band that was over there. A long time. I think your first time here.
Yeah.
There was Paul. I would say like Edelin, Ruel was on the bass, like the outside band, right?
Yeah.
And somewhere, somehow, he had this idea of starting, it was like rhythm and harmony, I think.
Oh, I remember that, yes.
Yeah, but that was him. Like, that was one person in service to the community who wanted to make a difference and started that at the high school at MHS.
It's still there. That's who I just saw.
And how cool is that? I mean, again, that's one person's influence. And Hal Easton.
Yeah,
right? So
he's still there.
Yep.
He's the guy. And I think he's a miracle. I mean, the fact that he's dedicated his life to inspiring the weirdos, the artists, it is like you found out when you were a senior in high school that the weirdos on the football team are no different. They're different, but they're a different kind of weirdo than the weirdos in the arts. And these artists can't play football. They just can't play football, but they want to play on a team. And they love this stuff. And they're just as valuable. And Easton, he's the guy who sells them, it's okay to be this. Not only that, you're magic for being this. And what I loved about watching was the parents. These kids were so silly, so creative, so funny, but in a silly, playful way. And then their parents were like, I love that. I love the joy that everybody was sharing. And he allowed that for these kids on this little island for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. That is some deep stuff. And to be commended.
That is great. I remember him saying something similar about his. He's like, we will never. It's something along the side, along the level what you're saying about like how it's like, we'll defend everybody's ability or right to be who they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great. I didn't think that anybody wasn't going to, but like, it's great that he takes such a forward attitude to be that person for people who need it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
And it's great. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
We've been rolling for about an hour, so I figure I'll cut you free so you don't have to keep.
Court.
Oh, geez. Well, I hope you win. Sorry. Hopefully, Cat doesn't get you again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just got to go check. They got. It's these stories. They're interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, for the folks who are watching, we'll cut it off for today, and we'll end up being back. I know what I'll do, I'll run you up before we go, though. I'll get you guys the latest update from the Associated Press, and it should be here. There it is. So we'll get that to you guys, and then we'll be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock-ish. And we'll also be there tomorrow afternoon at the Lunch with the Boss for the employer support of the Guard and Reserve, and we'll get you caught up on that after that too. Hey man, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you coming in. It's I love talking to you and talk about forever, and we'll do it over some food and beverage.
It was funny. We were going to talk about Hollywood and my career, and we ended up talking about things that are important.
Yeah, well, they're both important. It was great. Yeah. Thanks so much, Dan Shore. He's done it all, and
I haven't done it all. No.
He's got more to do too.
My amateur baseball career never took off.
Hey, the Masters League is going on right now. Maybe we'll get you on
love it. Love it.
All right, so our future baseball star, Dan Shore, thanks so much for being in here today. We're going to send you guys out with the Associated
Marianas
Press.
Coffee.
and we'll be back. Have a great day, Marianas.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Fresh out of prison after President Trump commuted his sentence for seditious conspiracy, Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes visited Capitol Hill today. Meantime, Saga Magane reports Trump critics are worrying about possible retribution.
President Trump's perceived enemies are not just worried about facing criminal prosecution. They have other fears, too. From things like trouble renewing passports, to IRS audits, to losing federal pensions, and going bankrupt clearing their names. The new president's already revoked security clearances for dozens of former intelligence officers he believed turned against him. Just yesterday, he stripped Secret Service protection for former National Security Advisor John Bolton, whom Iran has threatened.
I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well.
Bolton tells the AP anybody who disagrees with Trump has to worry about retribution in some form. Joe Biden took the extraordinary step before leaving office of issuing preemptive pardons for Trump targets like Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, and Biden's own family. Sagar Magani, Washington.
With some bipartisan support, the House has passed a bill requiring the detainment of unauthorized migrants accused of theft and violent crimes. President Trump's national security advisor has sent home about 160 National Security Council aides while the administration reviews staffing and tries to align it with Trump's agenda. Evacuations have been ordered for remote communities near a wind-driven wildfire in the mountains north of Los Angeles. The Hughes fire broke out this morning and quickly burned through nearly 8 square miles. Red flag warnings in effect through Thursday. And that big winter storm has been breaking snow records across the deep south, from Texas to North Carolina's Outer Banks. Brunswick, Georgia, Terry Frazier had to use a credit card to get ice off her windshield.
Hey, it worked.
This is AP News. Seth Sutel has the AP Markets Report.
Wall Street closed higher thanks to big gains from Netflix, Oracle, and other technology stocks. The S&P 500 rose 0.6% Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 130 points. That's about 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 1.3%. Small company stocks fell. Netflix soared almost 10%. The streaming video pioneer added almost 19 million subscribers in the latest quarter as it beefed up its live programming, including 2 NFL games. Treasury yields rose in the bond market. The yield on the 10-year Treasury climbed to 4.61%. Seth Sutel, New York.
And Prince Harry's claiming victory after Rupert Murdoch's British tabloids apologized for decades of intrusion into his life and agreed to pay substantial damages to settle his lawsuit. Newsgroup newspapers also acknowledged intruding on the life of his mother, the late Princess Diana. I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
Good morning, Marianas. So many things we gotta discuss. Happy day, Tirawami and greetings. To Rhoda, Guam, Saipan, and Tinian. For all your island news. From a beautiful place with Pacific views. It's always so much fun on